and said, I want some changes. Instead of gumballs falling in this, I'd like them to be small little candy eggs. And maybe there's some other changes we can make. So let's go through and see how, with the pipeline that we built here using the nodes in Houdini, we can make those changes, make those updates, and without sort of starting from scratch. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go back to the object level, where we're going to find our gumballs, and we're going to go back to the sphere node that we used to start that off. So we're going to go spacebar B, and we're going to go to a front view. Okay. Now, let's press, go to the select tool, and press 2 to get points. And we're going to select this top point here. We're going to move it, and we're going to lift that point up. And in the process, we're going to go down to the soft radius and pull that up. So that gives us sort of that egg shape that we need. So earlier we used soft transform to get a soft radius, but actually built into the edit node, you also have a soft radius, so it's fairly easy to do that, so we can get that exactly where we want. So that allows us to, let's take this back, go back to here, and everything will be more or less the same. The only difference is when we go to do the simulation, we have the eggs. So let's go spacebar B, spacebar B. So now we see eggs up there. And so if we run this simulation at the RBD sim, we're going to get a different result because eggs are going to react differently. They're going to roll differently. They're going to bump into each other differently. So we can cache that out. No, we don't. This doesn't cache it out. We have to remember that if we go down to this node here, we're back to the spheres, and that's because it's pre-cached and we are loading from disk. So what we want to do is turn off load from disk. And before we do this, the client also said they want it to be a little longer. So what we're going to do is we're going to change this to say 120 and close. That updates in here when we want to do this. And what we can do is now save to disk. It's going to go through, it's going to cache, and then it's got to resim some of the stuff at the end there that we didn't stimulate before. Again, load from disk, we're good to go. So now we're going to go to the gumball, the USD export node, and we're going to change this to, say, eggsim.usd. And that will just allow us to differentiate the files when we export this and save this to disk. So let's save that to disk. So let's go back to the stage. A couple clicks there. We're back to the stage. Now, we could go back up to this reference and update that there. But we're going to show you something that you can do in USD that's sort of fun. So we're going to go in and we're going to put another reference node. We're going to put it right here. And we're going to change the primitive path to say /geo/gumballs. So it has basically the same name as what we had before. We're going to get the file pattern here, which is the egg sim, and we're going to accept that. So now if we go to here, what we're going to see is, let's just make sure we've got that. So if we go up to here, oh, you know what? We want this to be gumballs sim. So what happens is, by giving it the same name, instead of adding a new sim to here, we've just replaced the one before. So if we go back to this node, it is the spheres. If we go to this node, we have layered in the gumballs and given them the same name. Now notice what happened is, it picked up the same material that was assigned to the original gumballs are now assigned to this. So we've just basically swapped those in. So that's pretty exciting right there. Let's go back to frame 1. And what we'd like to do is also do a little bit of compositing on top of this to explore some options. So we're going to go tab cop network. We're going to place that down and double click to go into it. And then we're going to go tab slap comp block. And this is going to create a sort of a network here that brings in what we had and allows you to start compositing over that. So let's add in a node, tab HSV adjust, and we're going to put that into the middle here. And we're going to just take the hue and shift slider and modify that. And let's set the display flag on there. So if we go to here, we can see, maybe we take it so it's purple, bluish. Okay, blue. Now, we could also bring back our compositing view that we had before, and we could go back up and pin that. Now, one of the things we notice is that what's affecting the compositing in here is not visible here at the moment. Let's go in and turn that on, and that's actually with this button here. We can actually say use one of these end blocks, CopNet block end, and feed that into there. So now when we go into the CopNet and we select this, and maybe we bring down the saturation to make it a little more grayscale, we see that that's affecting both there and it's also affecting there. So we can set up a little compositing network just to explore some compositing options right here in Solaris and get that working. And there we go. So that gives sort of the look that we wanted for that. Now, if we want to render that out, again, we would go to our Karma settings, and this time let's change that to egg slap comp and $F. So that's all pretty much the same as what we had before. And then we go to image output and we go to AOVs, render vars, and we go down and down to a utility section here. And you've got to turn on depth there for slap comps to work in the final rendering. Then you go, let's go to the render node here. And under the Husk tab, there is a slap comp tab. We're going to add one. We're going to change the source to a cop network, and we're going to go get the stage, copnet, and block end. So now what we're doing is we're incorporating this slap comp into our output settings here. When we render this to disk, we will get the look that we want. Okay, so now we've got that. We want to render, make sure the render delegate is XPU, and let's click render disk. And we can start from there. Okay, so now you have it rendered to disk. Let's go and get that. We're going to load disk files, render and we can press play. You have now completed your first steps into the world of Houdini and its node-based workflow. You have used these nodes to model, simulate, texture,